What's up, everybody? This is Terrence Plummer II. You're tuned in to the UCF Football Updates podcast. Let's go.
This is Mac Loudermilk, and you're listening to the UCF Football Updates podcast.
What up, Night Nation? This is Alan, and you are tuned in to the UCF Football Updates podcast. Today's podcast features a very special guest, former UCF and current Kansas City Chiefs tight end, Jordan Franks. Jordan played for UCF from 2014 to 2017 and was part of that dynamic offense and, of course, the undefeated Knights team. Welcome to the show, Jordan. How are you today?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. Sure.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to have you. Appreciate you making the time. I know you're busy. Wanted to kind of start off. It was interesting. I've been talking about this with other UCF fans in the past and, just some of my friends, when you were at UCF, you obviously kind of broke out there towards the end, your last year, your all conference team, but I don't think, at least, we go by what the media is saying and just in general, there wasn't a lot of like draft buzz or just a general like NFL buzz around you, but you've been able to turn this into now going into your fifth year in the NFL. Did you know even as late as 2016, 2017 that you were NFL bound? Was that kind of always part of your plan?
Man, to be honest with you, I didn't have a clue if I was going to the NFL. I was just kind of playing football. Yeah, I mean, the way I approach the game is kind of I'm from a small city, small town, raised right next to the National Forest. So it's been man, it's just a game to me. And I enjoy being out there and getting better at it every day, and just happened to turn out a long NFL career. But it's kind of the whole mantra, enjoy the journey. So that's what I've been doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cause I mean, it's been great to see. We're always rooting for UCF guys in the pro, but I gotta say, I did not know that it was going to turn into this great of a career for you. So I really commend you. And that's awesome. How much do you think that improvement had to do? Obviously you came into UCF 2014, you're there with Coach O'Leary, right? And then your last couple of years are with, Coach Frost. Did Coach Frost and his offense kind of help bring out what you are today, and just the shift in the scheme and utilizing tight ends a little bit more? Was that a big influence in helping you go pro?
I would say it was a mix of it all. So I've been Coach O'Leary, 2 years with Coach O'Leary. Also, he taught me more discipline, how to approach the game from a business standpoint. And when I moved on to Coach Frost my last 2 years, that's when I switched over to tight end because I was playing defense before that. So That made me understand the defensive scheme of the game. Then I switched to tight end with Frost and got with Coach Sean Beckton, who taught me how to basically be a receiving tight end that progressed me to the NFL level. So it was kind of a mixture of both Coach O'Leary and Coach Frost stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, George O'Leary was more kind of utilized. I feel like tight ends more like a blocking kind of sense, right? Where Frost was, definitely down with, utilizing the entire power of the offense and not just kind of restricting you to blocking. That because I remember seeing guys like Justin Tukes and some of these other tight ends that UCF had, and they were more primarily used for blocking. So it seemed like Frost really kind of helped opened up the offense for tight ends too.
Yeah, he for sure did that. Yeah, he flexed us out. We're doing a spread offense at the end of the day. So, Coach Frost opened it up. You use your more athletic ability, but also you had that Coach O'Leary mindset when it came to the blocking scheme, which helped out a lot. So, Frost. I'll say Frost helped with the NFL football standpoint as in being a receiving tight end.
Right. Another thing, something we really haven't seen too much of for UCF since you were there and, Jordan Akins was there and Michael Kulubiali was there we had a pretty stacked tight end room back then with you three and all of you guys having, the ability to catch. How cool was that to, obviously, UCF also was stacked in the wide receiver room, but, historically UCF doesn't have a ton of catching tight ends. How cool was that to kind of have you three all being a big part of the offense, as the tight end room together?
Oh man, it was awesome, man. First, I want to say congrats to Michael Kubiali. He just got married. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, nice.
I want to say congrats to that. But man, it was unique. It was competitive, but we're all good friends. We all had a great mindset going into it. No one was, pushing each other over. It was just a great room where we learned from each other, and it was a great time. I enjoyed every minute.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to talk a little bit, starting off, starting your UCF career kind of from, day one. Obviously, you get into UCF 2014 right off the bat. You guys are, you win the AAC championship or a share of it that year. You play pretty much right away as a freshman. Then as you go to your sophomore year, I think if I remember this correctly, weren't you kind of moved to the defensive side of the ball in 2015?
Yeah, so actually, so my career has been weird, but so I played receiver in high school, and my freshman year in college, O'Leary and Coach Tyson Summers moved me to linebacker. And I
Okay.
played linebacker my freshman year in nickel. So I played a little nickel, and that was when we played like Missouri and all them.
Mm-hmm.
And then my sophomore year, I switched again. I went to like safety. I played D end and then safety.
Wow.
So I was kind of like all over the place. I was just a big athlete, to be honest with you, trying to figure it out. And so yeah, I moved a lot on the defensive side my first 2 years at UCF.
Wow. So they had you, did you play in any games on the defensive side, or is that more just kind of before the season started or in practice and stuff?
Yeah, so I started on special teams my freshman year, but I started defense when we played Missouri as I think like a butt or a nickel linebacker, if I
Right.
can remember correctly. So that was like maybe the fourth game I started on defense as a freshman. Never played defense in my whole life. So it was kind of it was a surreal moment, but it was pretty cool.
So you have that, obviously that kind of awful year. I mean, the team has an awful year in 2015 going 0-12. Talk about a little bit like that shift when, obviously 2015 was rough for everyone, right? The fan base,
Yeah.
the players. I can only imagine, how frustrating that was to lose all those games. But then Frost kind of comes in and it's a complete opposite of George O'Leary. I mean, an old guy versus a young guy, offensive minded versus, defensive minded. What did he do for the program to just kind of breathe new life into you guys? Like, what was it like, that shift of going from O'Leary to Frost?
Oh man, it was a big shift. I'll say O'Leary's more like military oriented, which is nothing wrong with that. I actually liked it because I came from a military household. But Frost is a new breath in the air, man. It was just you kind of do what you want, not do what you want, but do what works, and if it works for you, which is nice. Um, it was just a bunch of young people, having fun playing football at the end of the day. So it was a great time. I enjoyed it a lot.
Absolutely. So that, that 2016 year, you guys get back to a bowl game, but 2017, and I got to bring up, this specific point. I always like to bring this up to guys that were on that 2017 roster is, I'll never forget Jordan Akins saying at it was like a season media event. I think it might have been like media days up in Rhode Island or wherever you guys went. Someone asked him, how many games can you win this year? And he goes, we can win them all. And that's what ended up happening. But it was interesting. I was wondering, coming off you guys were 6-7 in 2016. Was that like more just, in an interview saying what you got to say, or did you guys collectively before any game started believe that you guys had the talent to go undefeated?
Oh yeah, man, we definitely knew we had the talent. It goes back to like the whole iron sharpens iron kind of thing, man. It was so my senior year. My roommates were Jordan Akins, Jemias Pittman, and myself. And then we had other roommates who were. It was weird. It's like weird, but they all the roommates that stayed together were all made the NFL. Wyatt Miller, Michael Kubiali, Trey Quan was my roommate at one point. So it was just iron sharpens iron, and over time, that became to that 2017 season. And by that time we kind of knew, like, all right, we got all the talent in the nation, man. We just got to produce at this point. So
Yeah.
know your role and do your job at that point, and it took off from there. It's pretty neat to see.
It was really cool to see. I mean, how special was that? I mean, you were on the offensive side of the ball where, I mean, that's what UCF was known for that year. Let's be honest, was the offense. How cool was that to just be part of a team that essentially never had to punt, pretty much always got first downs and was going to be scoring bare minimum, probably 40, 45 points a game in a lot of games that were in the 50s. How cool was that to be an integral part of that offense?
I mean, it was definitely cool. You go from George O'Leary's running game to a whole lighted up passing offense, man. It was a whole turnaround. But it was, I don't know, just so real. Like you just take it in. I guess looking back now, it's like nothing really has been like that ever in NCAA history in a 2-year flip. And yeah, it was just I can't even really explain it, but it was just crazy.
What about playing, with KZ, catching passes from him? I mean, he was just the orchestrator of that offense this year. I mean, what was it like playing with someone like him, especially like, your first couple of years, I know you played with Holman and I think there's a couple other quarterbacks at the time. So maybe Tyler Harris, a couple other guys there, Bo Schneider. But what was it like kind of taking that step up? No disrespect to those other guys, but just to playing with someone like KZ.
Yeah, KZ was on a whole nother level, and I'll say it was just his swagger he brought to the table and how he backed it up. He wasn't much of a talker, but he had a confidence level to himself when he walked around, which is nice. You just follow that as a tight end or receiver, lineman, whichever. You just walking around the building. This is his freshman to sophomore year. Sophomore year, the 2017 season, he's confident as ever. And it's just you can't really coach or teach that. You just come in with that. And we seen that. It was just like, all right, this is our guy. Let's go. And he balled out as everybody else saw.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
absolutely. Then, you get to that Peach Bowl, play Auburn. What was that like just going into it? Like, I remember thinking like, we got to finish this season undefeated. So it's been so special. But when I really look back at it now, 5 years later, I'm thinking of like all the crazy distractions. Like Scott Frost is like not really the coach anymore, but he's coming back for the game. You have all the people talking about how like Auburn's not motivated and they're not going to care to play you guys, us and just all that going on. But you kind of get through all of that noise to just, beat Auburn pretty handily there. At least, you led good portion of the game and won pretty handily. What was that like? How were you guys? Was it hard for you guys to get, focused for that game with just all that distraction? And what did you think about when the people were saying like, Auburn's not motivated?
Right. So I can't speak for everybody, but I'm pretty sure almost everybody on that team had the same mindset. And that was, what's the goal at the end of the day? The goal is to win this championship. So,
Right.
Any other noise other than that is not pertaining to what the common goal is for the team. So there's no really reason to listen to it. So that's kind of like the mindset going in. And because of that, we could dial in our focus on the game plan and then take it from there, which we handled our business with these on the Auburn game.
Sure. Yeah. And then you got that special one. What was, for you, what was kind of your favorite moment from that entire season? I know there was a ton of them, but was there anything maybe us as fans or in the media, didn't really see that was something cool? Maybe it was behind the scenes, or it could have just been in a game. What was your maybe coolest or favorite memory from that year?
I would say the whole year, to be honest. It was just, you can't replicate, winning, going undefeated with the boys and, having a good time after it. Like, that's like the best part. You win a game, have a good time with the boys, have a little recovery day, then it's back at it the next week.
Right.
I mean, what else could you ask for, like in a work day? I guess, man. It's just amazing, man. It was a good experience. My senior season, and I really enjoyed that. It was nice.
Absolutely. Well, then you obviously graduate and, you go to the NFL as an undrafted free agent, and you start off your career with the Bengals. You spent a couple of years there. Talk a little bit, and then, you've been on the Eagles and the Browns, and now you're on the Chiefs. Talk about your NFL journey so far, and, what it's been like.
Right. So I guess to start from the beginning, I went to Pro Day, and that's where I got my NFL buzz. I wasn't on any NFL track or anything. I went to Pro Day. I ran really fast, ran really good routes, impressed the coaches. So then got a shot with the Bengals with Jonathan Hayes, was the tight end coach. So I got my shot, did my thing. I made practice squad, and then I got activated to the roster, I think on game 6, and then, took it from there. The pretty cool thing my rookie year is my first play ever in the NFL. I ran a wheel route and Andy Dalton threw it to me for a 50-yard catch, which is pretty cool, I think, for my first play ever stepped on the field. Cool. So yeah, that's pretty neat. And but from there, I went for my second year at the Bengals. Played there for one more year. Then I went to the Browns. After that, I got released by the Bengals after camp my third year, and played for the Browns for 2 years. And then the Chiefs this year. I only played for Philly for 3 weeks, and then they said they didn't want my services anymore, so they kind of fired me. But that's okay. I went to the Browns after that for a couple of years.
Yeah, no, that's legit. I mean, it's kind of, I wanted to talk about kind of the quarterbacks you played with, kind of a similar journey. I mean, to UCF in the sense, played with some, some good quarterbacks start. Obviously, Andy Dalton. I mean, yeah, he's obviously well regarded in NFL history, but and then, maybe play with the Browns and Baker Mayfield, but now you're stepping up to play with, the best quarterback in the NFL or top three. When you got signed by the Chiefs, what was that like to be like, wow, I'm going to get to play with Patrick Mahomes?
All right. So, man, it's dope. Anybody can see that this man's really talented when it comes to the quarterback position. But I will always say, I like to, introduce myself before I do any judging. And for myself personally, he's a really cool guy. Like, treats everybody with respect, and he's a cool guy to play with. And then obviously the football portion where he's just really, 1 in a million arm talent. So
Sure.
It's really cool to see his play style compared to the other quarterbacks I played with. And I also got to see, I had a little small stint with Joe Burrow for OTAs in camp.
Oh, nice.
Third going in. So you can definitely see the similarities with them too, as in the competitiveness and the goal they're trying to reach which is win a Super Bowl. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Well, no, that's cool to hear all that. I want to shift gears a little bit and talk. So I actually have a funny kind of story for you. So I went in 2015 when UCF played Tulane. It was on the road in New Orleans, and your brother was at the game. Felipe was at the game obviously he was still in high school, and he was just there with your mom watching the game. So I had a buddy there, my buddy John, who we both recognized Felipe because, UCF was recruiting him, had an offer out to him. And I think at the very least, maybe he was considering UCF. So my buddy went up to your mom and just started saying like, he should go to UCF. He should go to UCF. So obviously it didn't end up happening, but I ended up going to Florida. But I was, you see at UCF, there's been a lot of brothers that have played together, whether it's the McCrays, the Griffins, and I think a lot of, siblings probably cherish the opportunity to potentially play together. I know Felipe was a really highly rated recruit out of high school, but was that something you were kind of maybe trying to pressure him to come to UCF so you could play together? He could be someone that throws to you. That'd be a pretty cool situation. Or was he kind of never really considering UCF?
Right. So yeah, it was either Florida or UCF was gonna be his picks. Florida based on, that's a college we always wanted to go to growing up, and then UCF because I was there. And it was really those two at the end of the day. And ultimately chose Florida. I think it was just more like you want to do your own thing at the end of the day, as a man. So that's basically the reason he chose Florida, do his thing, I do my thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it would have been pretty cool if we were on the same team. And I can just imagine like the McCrays or the Griffins, like they're always around each other, making themselves better every day, which we definitely have been the same way. So that'd been pretty cool. But I like the way it turned out, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, now Felipe is on the Falcons. I know right now they kind of have their starter set, but is that something you guys ever talk about? Maybe one day, if the cards align right, maybe playing together at the pro level.
Oh, for sure, man. Like I was saying before, man, iron sharpens iron. So if we can get together and we're just around each other 24/7, we're only going to get better every day. So I'll definitely be down for that. And then the family aspect's cool too. I'm playing football with my brother in the NFL. So if the cards align, I'll be, sign away quick.
Right.
So, that'd be pretty cool.
Did you guys ever, did you play together in high school or Pee Wee? Was there ever a time where you guys were on the same team and he maybe threw you a touchdown or anything like that? Or did you too far apart in age?
No, so we actually played 2 years together in high school. First year was a freshman year. He didn't really play too much. Then his sophomore year, my senior year, that's when, I don't know, we were like top in the state or something, yards and touchdowns. We're like Franks to Franks is what it was called.
Oh, that's awesome.
Funny. But we did really well our senior year together. Or my senior year, his sophomore year.
Yeah, that's got to be cool. Really cool experience, man. So yeah, won't keep you too much longer. I wanted to kind of shift gears one more time and talk about now more like college football and the future of UCF. So obviously, do you still keep up with UCF football, or are you kind of too busy in the NFL right now?
No, I try to keep up. I know I'm definitely more busy doing the NFL than I'm trying to do my some school too. So my mind's a little busy, but I try to keep up when I can for sure.
Yeah, man. Well, what did you, so like, obviously Gus Malzahn just finished his first year at UCF, the Knights finished 9-4, beat Florida in the bowl game. How do you
Right.
feel about the direction of UCF? And I mean, you obviously saw Malzahn firsthand in the Peach Bowl in 2017. So what do you
Mhm.
think of him as the leader of the program?
Right. So he seems like a good coach to me. Obviously, he has his Auburn stench. Like you ain't coaching the SEC if you don't know what you're doing at the end of the
Mhm.
day. So he knows what he's doing. He has a system that works, has proven to work. And he's bringing that to UCF, and obviously he beat an SEC school in the bowl game, which you never overlook.
Right.
So I mean, I like the direction the university's going, and just from a not from a football standpoint, I like the direction the university itself's going, which is going to pull in more recruits, top recruits. So I'm really interested to see about half a decade to a decade where UCF is. Really interested.
Yeah, no doubt. And now we're going to the Big 12, which is, something that's pretty cool. There's always that Power Five versus Group of Five talk. I like to ask that, I ask no matter what position you guys were, but like I talk to when I do these podcasts, I love to ask, what's the main difference between Power Five and Group of Five? And a lot of skill position players like yourself, receiver, running back, they say there's not too much of a difference. Like the speed, everything is the same. They say the biggest difference is probably on the lines where the offensive line, the defensive line for like a school like an Auburn, just probably a little bit deeper. Their third or fourth string guy is someone that was probably really highly recruited, or maybe third or fourth string defensive line at UCF maybe isn't ready to play yet until, they develop a little bit more. What do you got to go up against at your time at UCF, Auburn, Missouri, I think you mentioned a couple other teams, Maryland. Did you see a big difference? Like were any of these guys dramatically bigger, stronger, faster, or is it something that wasn't that big of a difference?
That's a complicated answer, man. You want to hear my answer?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
approach that. I
absolutely.
said, man, if you got the dog in you, you're gonna win, man. At the end of the day, I was always a smaller tight end. I was never the most athletic. Part of a bunch of people like that at UCF overlooked. At the end of the day, are you going to hit somebody? Or are you going to do the right assignment? And I mean, you can be as strong as fast as you want, but who's a better football player? So that's how I see it, at least.
Right.
I don't really believe too much in that size, speed, hype. Like, if you're a better football player, you're a better football player.
Right.
So that's
Right.
kind of how I see it. So to answer your question, I don't really see the size difference. It
Did
doesn't really
you
matter to me.
like when you were playing Auburn though, did you feel a difference playing them versus playing, I don't know, Memphis or another conference opponent, Cincinnati, whomever, or I mean, I guess obviously every conference has their weaker teams versus their stronger teams, but like, let's say when you're playing a Memphis, you were in the conference championship against that year, or one of the better teams like SMU, Memphis, Cincy, and then you play Auburn, did you feel like it was a massive step up in competition, or was it fairly similar?
Similar in my eyes. Like, I don't see a difference. Like, I didn't get more nervous from them than I got more nervous from Cincinnati or
Right.
Memphis during my years. So yeah, I didn't really see a difference. I mean, people talk like there's a difference, but to me personally, no, I approach it the same I did in my other games. Game plan for this guy I'm about to face, and then go full throttle on him.
Yeah, that's
So
what's up. Yeah.
that's how it kind of goes in my head.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the answer that I usually get from, a lot of former UCF guys. So, it's definitely cool to, know that a lot of that crap is just media hype where they're like, oh, the Power Five, Group of Five, right? So I want to finish.
I don't mean to, my fault, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I
Yeah, go
think
ahead.
that's why UCF is so successful. Like, that's the mentality we have, or the school has, the university has. Like, there's no underdog. I step on this field the same way you step on this field. So let's go get after and see who wins.
That's right.
I like
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah, and the motivation stuff is dumb. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not going to be motivated to play, you're going to get your ass handed to you. So,
Exactly.
So yeah, I want to finish up a couple things here. Obviously when you were in school, the NIL and the transfer portal stuff didn't really exist. Now it does. What are your thoughts? And I'll preface it by saying, I'm definitely about guys making their money, but I think the current system is a little bit shaky with how it is. It's kind of almost like wild, wild west out there. What are your thoughts on just, the NIL and just the portal where guys pretty much, you can't really plan your roster because a guy can essentially just leave at any time. And we see how guys leaving in the middle of the season last year. Eric Gilliard left after 4 games. You had guys leave before the season, after the season. What are your thoughts on all how crazy college football has kind of become?
Right. So I don't know too much about the NIL stuff. I mean, I understand it, but what I would say is definitely more related to the NFL business side of it, which can be, have its pros and cons, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. So you kind of have to adapt to the new system that's, given to the NCAA and UCF. Personally, do I like it? Yeah, I think I like it a lot. Athletes getting paid to be themselves, to exemplify their athletic ability, but also they have to understand what comes along with that, which are the cons. Like you can essentially be cut now from the roster.
Right.
You can, to be transferred out, which can be a pro for another team who wants to get another team for their roster. So I think it's definitely more like the NFL where your roster is always adapting on the go. It's never no set thing like you were saying before. It's always on the go. So you kind of have to adapt to that, which is different. But, it is what it is too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got to adapt. And, that's kind of adapt or die in today's college football, no doubt. So
Right.
finish up here, a couple more questions. What do you think, I know you're busy with the NFL, but what, I'm sure you still, like you said, you still follow UCF. So what do you think the expectation should be for UCF this year? I mean, it's our last year in the American. We haven't won the American since 2018. Got a pretty tough schedule. We got Louisville, we have Cincinnati. We got a pretty solid schedule, a lot of good home opponents. What do you think the expectations should be in our final year here? Is year 2 of a new coaching staff enough time to develop that chemistry and have the groundwork in place to have, some of the seasons we're used to seeing at UCF, maybe not undefeated, but, winning the conference, going to a near 6 bowl?
Right. So yeah, the expectations I think should be, always a conference championship. Don't expect anything less as a player, as a coach, or a fan.
Right.
With that said, the coaches, I think it's a lot on the coaching staff, as in we're in that new NIL league, like you said. So transfer, new player. So it comes down to what system do they have set that can give, the players the best ability to win. So, and I think year 2 with Gus is, enough time to get that system set and rolling. So I'm really intrigued in a conference championship is the simple answer.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, since, like I said, it's the last year in the American, it also means that it's the last year that we're going to play USF, at least for the foreseeable future, because, they're staying in the American. As of now, a lot of schedules are booked, 8, 9, 10 years in advance. I've had a lot of mixed responses from UCF Nation. A lot of people saying they want to keep the rivalry alive. Other people are saying, nah, leave them in the dust. Your time UCF, I think you went 2-2 while you were there. So it was like pretty even. And that 2017 game is absolutely legendary with the Mike Hughes return. I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, do you want to leave USF in the past, or do you want to kind of keep that heated rivalry? Me, I want to keep that rivalry. I don't care how bad they are. It's a pleasure to beat them every year. It doesn't matter our record. If we beat them, I usually feel a little bit better if we had a bad year. So I want to get your kind of take on that.
Man, yeah, I don't see no problem keeping the rivalry. I mean, to be honest, obviously UCF's been more on the map than USF in the last decade. But 5 years ago 5 years ago now, like you said, 2-2 with the USF, and that was like the best top rivalries in college football.
Yeah.
The game was always exciting. There was always something coming down to the wire. So I like the rivalry, and it's close. You're an hour and a half from each other. You can't get any better than that. From a fan standpoint, man, I feel like the tailgates are kind of fun.
Oh, no doubt. As a player, did you, regardless, like I know 2015 going into that game, you guys were 0-11, or in 2014, they were really bad. Maybe had like 2 or 3 wins. Regardless record going into that game, did you feel a little bit extra hyped up, or like an extra, like kind of, I don't want to use that motivation word, but motivation to beat them in a sense, like regardless of records, regardless of the stakes, even if that game wasn't deciding the conference or anything, did you kind of feel as a player, like some extra oomph into that game?
Yeah, you definitely feel in the week, man. The buzz, walking around campus, everybody's hyping you up, like, "Yeah, you ready?" All that. But when it came down to the game, again, me personally, I don't know what it is, but I'm just so even kill. I'm approaching this game like the first game. That's what Frost and O'Leary instilled in us, like even kill, man. This game means just as much as the first game. Attack it like you would the whole year. So from that standpoint, it was just kind of like do your job and let's get this W.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Hey man, well, we appreciate you jumping on the podcast. That was awesome. I wish you the best of luck this year with the Chiefs, and all of UCF Nation's rooting for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, for sure.
Absolutely. That was former UCF tight end Jordan Franks. This podcast will be out in the next couple of weeks. Thanks for tuning in, Night Nation.